Hello, everybody. This is Summer. Today, I wanted to focus on our comfort zone. Just the word alone sounds, very down home, very comfortable, if you will. And I found out for myself that my comfort zone actually wasn't really a place that was comfortable at all. It was a place that I was the most uncomfortable. And I know that kind of sounds, maybe a little bit, like how can you feel comfortable and be uncomfortable at the same time? And that's kind of what I want to talk about today. Um, Comfort zones are places, and I'll speak for myself, was a place that I went to not because I was necessarily comfortable, but because I was fearful of, failure. I was fearful of not being able to do something. And that could be anything. It could be, being a good wife, being a good mother. It could be, at your job. It could be definitely in your workouts, fear of trying something because, well, there's no way I could do that. And personally through my life, I've been through ups and downs just like everybody. And I feel that that kind of shaped what I felt was comfortable to me. And over time, you kind of just don't even realize that you have secluded yourself into this little box, if you will, and you really don't step outside of that zone. And, everything seems perfect and you know what to expect. And honestly, if you think of anybody who's ever done anything major in life, none of them have gotten to be a successful, in whatever it is that they've done by staying in their comfort zone. They had to go outside of themselves. They had to push themselves past a point that they never previously thought that they would even be able to reach in order to get there. And for me, a lot of my discomfort, came from, like I said, fear. You know, During the past couple years, I've had children, and after my last daughter, I had postpartum depression pretty bad. And that really scared me and pretty much kind of rocked my self confidence in who I thought I was. I'd always been a person who was strong, and, people who know me say, wow, you're a leader. And when that happened to me, even some people who I worked with, may have been a little bit shocked because I had always been the person who was kind of that rock for them, or, especially for my friends, giving that support. And here I needed it. And that was hard to deal with inside, even though I may not have communicated it to my family or even to my friends at all, because it's a hard thing to admit that you need help. And, so I kind of noticed myself kind of withdrawing from, you know, putting myself out there just because of that self-doubt that I had, with my situation. And then definitely, during the past couple of years, my husband, he's been laid off between 2008 and 2010. He was laid off 3 times, and he's the main breadwinner for our family. So as you can imagine, that was pretty major for us. We did not know literally, at one point at the end of the month if we were going to be able to continue living in the house that we were living in, because it got down to the wire that close with him finding something new. And luckily, by the grace of God, in the nick of time, he did find something and we were able to pick ourselves back up. But that does something to you. I had never been put in that situation before. I'd never dealt with really a financial crisis. I was young in my, mid to late 20s, and life is supposed to be good at that point. You kind of feel like, in a way you're untouchable. And that kind of brought me back down to reality and, shook my confidence a little bit. And then, of course, I was laid off myself, at the end or beginning of 2010 from a place that I had worked at, practically for 7 years. And that really, really shook my confidence. And so all of those things combined, were basically just a catalyst for me to become this person that I didn't even really recognize. And not even to the outside world. Other people might be like, well, I don't even know what you're talking about. I saw you, you looked fine. Yeah, I looked fine, but I was going by the, fake it till you make it type, philosophy. Inside, I was feeling a completely different way. And that got in the way of me being able to experience things in life, especially when it comes to fitness, which is something that I'm super passionate about now. I used to be super passionate about when I was younger. But because of all these things that had happened to me, I didn't feel that I was able to do certain things. I didn't feel that I had the ability. I didn't feel that I was in shape. And I was upset about not being in shape but I also kind of stuck in my comfort zone and really didn't make any efforts to do anything to get in shape, to change my circumstances. And it really wasn't until, just this past year with watching one of my friends kind of go through their own transformation that it really put it in perspective for me that I can do this. It's easy to watch somebody on the TV do something, but when you see somebody who getting results and changing their life and they're happy, you want to be around that type of person. And that was the type of person who I was and who I still wanted to be. And this also had an impact on my marriage. My husband went through the same thing that I went through. And during the time that I was going through postpartum depression, he was working a job at night. I was working during the day. We were literally handing our children off in the parking lot of my job or the mall and would say, hey, love you, see ya. And that was all we would see of each other. And we did that for 2.5 years until he was laid off for the first time. And that played a role, for me, and I'm sure for him as well, because during that period, he gained, between 25 and 30 pounds. So he wasn't happy with who he was. I wasn't happy with who I was. So you can imagine, the impact that this was having just on our personal relationship with each other and also with our children, because this is something that we struggled with day in and day out. We just didn't really know how to get a grasp of it and wrap our minds around what was going on. And also admitting to ourselves that, we've kind of put ourselves in this little box and you don't really know how to get out. You're kind of looking up, at the top and you're at the bottom. And no matter how much you're climbing, you keep sliding back down. And, really it does take somebody extending that ladder, extending that rope to help pull you up out, whether it's a depression, whatever you're going through. When you have somebody else there to motivate you, it helps. I've been told by one of my own family members that you cannot motivate people. And when I heard that, that actually hurt. That hurt my feelings because that's what I'm here to do. That's why I became a Beachbody coach was, to help motivate people, to help people who may have been feeling the same way that I was feeling, who are mothers who work, who have husbands who work, and you're still trying to take care of yourself as well and be healthy. I wanted to push those people to say, hey, look, in just 6 months, this is what I have done. And this is how I've done it. I have not done it alone. I have a group of people supporting me. You guys may have already run into a lot of, who I call naysayers, people saying, oh, you can't do that. You can't do that. Oh, you're doing insanity. You got to be crazy. I know somebody who tried that and they weren't able to do it. And you're 30, 40, 50 pounds overweight. How are you supposed to keep up with them? You're going to hear that stuff. I heard that stuff. I wasn't somebody who, by any means anybody would think was overweight or obese, but it doesn't matter how much the number on the scale is. I wasn't happy with who I was inside. I definitely was not exercising. And last year, me and my husband went to New York City for our anniversary. And I never told him this. I just told him this the other day. But the whole time that I was there, we did a ton of walking. I stayed with my sister and she lived in a town where you had to go up and down hills and walk like a mile just to get to the train station to go into New York City. And then of course, while you're there, you're walking. I was so fearful of not being able to do that. That was a stress on me while I was there, just all the exercising, all the walking that I was going to have to do because I was so out of shape. So I didn't even get to enjoy myself the way that I would have wanted to just because of, I was already giving myself self-doubt, like, oh my gosh, how are we going to walk up all those stairs? And oh my gosh, we've been walking all day and my legs hurt and I'm out of breath. It kind of just made it to where, I wasn't happy. And here I am, on my anniversary, I'm supposed to be having a good time. So, I completely understand now, what was happening to me. And basically, like I said, I had put myself in this box. I had found my comfort zone and I was staying there. And by staying there, I was missing out on this whole other life, this whole other world that existed outside of that box. And for me, the first thing that helped me get out of that was, to stop doing the negative self-talk. When I first started my journey, exercising, my brother-in-law wanted us to do Insanity. And I looked at him and I was like, Insanity? I'm never going to be able to do that. And then I had to sit there and think about it. And I was like, wait a minute. I used to be in the military. And when I joined the military at 17 years old, never did it ever dawn on me that I would not be able to make it through basic training. I knew I was going to make it, and even if somebody had said, which they did because I was really thin, being a female, oh, how are you going to make it through basic training? How are you going to do push-ups? I said, I'm just going to do them. It never crossed my mind ever that I was not going to make it through. And of course, I did make it through. And, when we're younger or even when we're children, we have no concept of, really of fear and self-doubt. When you're 5 years old and you say, I want to be, a basketball player or a football player or a fireman, you really feel like you're going to be a fireman. You really feel like you're going to be a basketball player. That is what you think you're going to do. And no, never does it cross your mind that that's not something that's possible. And it's not until we become adults, and unfortunately, we become pessimistic and we start, doing negative self-talk to talk ourselves out of, well, instead of saying, I'm going to be this, we talk about what we're never going to be. I'm never going to be able to be a fighter because X. I'm never going to be able to be a basketball player because X. Now, some of that may be true. In order to be a basketball player, you have to have skill. You have to be really good. You may not have that. So that would be a true statement. But a lot of times we say these things to talk ourselves even out of trying. And, we really are missing out. And I know I was missing out on just living life and being happy. I decided to be a Beachbody coach, not right away when I first started exercising, because I was still in the middle, or beginning, I should say, of my journey. And I even told my husband, I'm like, how am I supposed to coach somebody when I'm just starting myself? I don't even know if I'm going to make it through this thing. And I kind of put it off, for a couple months and didn't even sign up. I think I started exercising in May. I didn't even sign up until July. And really it got to the point where honestly, it didn't matter. It didn't matter that I had just completed one program and was in the middle of insanity. And it won't matter for you either, because people relate to you not because of what workout you're doing or not because of what job you have. They relate to you because of who you are, the type of person that you are. If you look at your friends, you find that, well, hey, I'm attracted to these type of people. If I'm a go-getter, I'm normally attracted to go-getters. You kind of are who your surroundings are. And if you surround yourself with negative people who are always, Debbie Downers, is a lot I like to say, you start to become that type of person. Even if you're somebody who's positive, it's kind of inevitable, and those people literally can suck the life out of a room. And you can tell, a lot of times people will refer to them as dimmers. When you're in a room, you can tell who the dimmer is because the whole vibe of that room changes. When somebody's in there and all they're doing is complaining, oh my gosh, the traffic was so horrible getting here. And this guy really ticked me off. And then my job, and then my husband, it's like, you're like, whoa, I was having a great day. And now, you kind of feel kind of frustrated, and probably more so at that person because you're like, dang, out of all those negative things, I'm sure something positive had to have happened to you. I understand that's upsetting, but when you got somebody who's constantly always negative, it does play a role on how we feel. And also the flip side, when you're around somebody who's constantly positive, it really sticks out if you're that dimmer in the room. If they're always psyched and happy and, excited about life and excited about what they're doing, you're going to stick out like a sore thumb. So you kind of gravitate and become, basically, there's a saying that they say that you are the 5 people that you surround yourself with the most. So if you look at your top 5, if you want to call it that, of the people who you surround yourself with, you will look to see like, yeah, you know what, you're right. We share a lot of the same characteristics. That's who you spend most of your time with. It could be good and it could be bad. Like I said, you might be spending you're friends with somebody, but they're really negative. If you're trying to take your life to a positive place right now, you can talk to that friend and say, hey, your negativity, it's really bothering me. It's getting in, the way of, me being able to be successful or for me to be able to hang out with you. And if they don't change, you may have to decide to make that change and, wean yourself away from them. And definitely as you're going through this journey, you're going to come across people, like I said, that are going to doubt you. You're going to be doubting yourself. And that is all completely normal. And the basic bottom line of this lesson that I wanted to get out there to people is that until you put yourself out there, you're never going to know what you're capable of doing. And you can apply this to your marriage, you can apply this to friendships, you can apply this to your job, and definitely you can apply this to your workouts. If you are doing insanity and you feel that I'm never going to be able to do a push-up and you never try, push-ups are not comfortable, but if you never try, then you're never going to be able to do one. How are you really going to know what you're able to do unless you dig in each day? And you may not be able to do one on day 1. You may not be able to do one on day 31. But at the very end, if you can do it, what an accomplishment. And like I said, it's not comfortable. Going outside of your comfort zone, it is not fun. Me doing this video, which is why I'm doing it today, is something that I never thought that I would be doing. Videotaping my workouts, definitely not something that I thought I would be doing. But I feel that it's important because I want people to see me as relatable. If you see that I'm going through a workout and I'm struggling and I'm stopping, the key is I keep going. People can relate to that. I'm a mother, I'm a wife, I'm a friend, I'm a sister, I'm all these things, and yet I'm still able to make time for me for what I feel is important. I'm still able to be strong. I'm still able to, get out there and live life to the fullest because I've stepped outside of my comfort zone. Definitely becoming a coach. That's why I waited so long, because I just wasn't sure. And I signed up in July, and honestly, I didn't even really start pursuing, actively pursuing coaching until probably September. And some of that just came from the fact that we relocated, from Texas to Tampa, and we had to find a place to live. My kids had to start school. So I had a lot of life changes, but during those life changes, I also made a change inside. I wasn't going to wait for my coach to tell me this is what you need to do. I wasn't going to wait for somebody else to say, hey, you finished Insanity. What workout are you going to do next? I was stepping outside of my comfort zone, and I was going to do something that I had never done before. I was going to put myself out there. I was going to talk to any and everybody that I know that could benefit from, Beachbody as a whole, but also just from having somebody extend their hand out. You don't have to become a Beachbody coach. You don't have to, necessarily even want to do the workouts. But if somebody reaches their hand out to you and they say, hey, look, I see that you're struggling. I can help. Here's how I can help. Who am I not to put my hand out there for other people? If I have knowledge that I can give to them that they desperately need, and this doesn't even have to be fitness related, this can be just anything in life, who am I to not share that with them? My one conversation could change the course of their entire life. And that sounds really cheesy, but it is so true, because that person may relate to me, they may click with me, and they may then need me to be their success partner to help them and kind of show them how they can become, whatever it is that they're trying to become. And that's definitely something that I strive to do personally in my coaching journey. I want to be able to encourage people. I want to be able to help people surpass any expectations that they have for themselves. I've done it myself. I am a walking billboard of my progress. My husband, he's lost 30 pounds since we started this journey at the end of April, and I couldn't be more proud of him. Does it take hard work? Yes. Is it uncomfortable? Yes. But who wants to stay in this nice, neat little package and never experience what life is truly about? I know I don't. I hope that you don't. And, I really just wanted to put this out there. I hope, I know I've been kind of rambling on now for a while, but I hope that this, hits home with you. I hope that it may inspire you to, step out of your comfort zone, step out of the box, to think outside of the box. If you have any questions, if you need any help, you can always reach out to us on Facebook. It's facebook.com/Total Knockout Fit Club. We're here for you. We can help you, whether it's, nutrition, whether it's, fitness related, or even just extending a hand, needing positive reinforcement for the day with whatever you have. Please don't hesitate to reach out to us. Thanks, guys.